Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with a recommendation video for you today. It is recommendation month of April. You're getting a lot of rec videos this month. It's fine. You're gonna enjoy them, I think. But first up, we gotta talk about the most contentious place on the internet, and that is Booktok. And Booktok books I have enjoyed, okay? Because they exist. And I think there's this idea that like every Booktok book and romance talk book is like not good, or it's like, I don't know, there's some preconceived notions. But I have to say, I have gotten quite a few really solid recommendations from Booktok and books that I might not have heard about otherwise because of people I follow on Booktok. So thank you to the Booktokers I follow that give me these recs that I end up loving. And, you know, let's talk about the ones I've read and loved because honestly, I'm so happy I read these. So let's dive right into this list, which is like, you know, like quite a few books. More books than I expected, to be honest, as I looked through my reading. First up, we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is one of the first books I feel like I saw really take off on Booktok and get picked up traditionally. This is one that I don't think, I'm going to caveat this, I do not think it is worth full price. Okay, like get it from your library, get it used, something like that. But this is a pretty fun college hockey romance. I think it does a really good job giving me a villain character, like a villain type character that I hated so much. And I don't know the last time I read a contemporary romance that had a character I despised as much as I despised this guy in this one. But also I felt like our heroine and our hero were really fun. They were really cute. It felt accurate to that age group. You know, they were out having a good time in college, and that's exactly what I wanted to read about. They're both like pro athletes to an extent and like in their prime, you know, playing hockey and figure skating. And that was really fun. And I love the fact that our hero in this one like does whatever he can to help her when some things go down, but also is like helping her see like she needs to eat more so she can actually do the things she needs to do and all that. Like, I don't know. For me, Icebreaker just surprised me because like the way people talked about it didn't fully prepare me for the story itself. And at the end of the day, I feel like I left it like really happy I read it, and honestly just like with a little smile on my face. I would add it to my shelves. Like, that's how much I like this, you know? And I don't feel that way about every book I read. Next, we have Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop, a book I literally don't know if I would have ever picked up if it was not for some of the amazing Black creators I follow over on Booktok. This is a fantastically smutty time. It is such a good time because not only are we following a heroine who is off to Tulum with her family, like with this whole wedding party because her sister's getting married to her ex that she briefly dated, only for like 6 months. And there wasn't like great chemistry there. So like she's not jealous, right, that the sister's marrying him, but everyone has this like expectation of her. And if there's one thing that I think can make an interesting plot of a book is when there's this expectation on you to feel a certain way, to act a certain way about things. And this book I felt like really handled that well. So there's like this expectation that she's going to be like cagier or whatever, or more upset than she is. And she meets her ex's / her sister's fiance's best friend, Rome, on this trip, who she's met in passing. And when Rome originally met her, was like very attracted to her. So he basically avoided her the entire time she was dating his friend. And this follows him telling her to use him like a stress ball the entire like week-long 2 weeks that they're in Tulum. And let me tell you, he did. She did. And he delivered. He cared so much about her and he did so much to make sure she was happy while also watching our heroine come into herself and figure out life and things that she needed. I just love this book. And then we also had this nice element of mess in this book that I think added to the story in a way that I enjoyed, at least. I don't mind a messy book. I don't mind a messy plot setup. This definitely is one where if you read the summary or I'm telling you about it and you're like, I don't think that's for me, skip it then. But I do think it's one that has so much potential because it is so fun at the end of the day. Like, he rents her a yacht to read books together, like so she can read her books in peace. And then he picks up her favorite series. Like, it's very romantic to me, this book. The actions Rome takes are very romantic, very, very dream man energy. And we are all fighting for Rome at the end of the day. Next is one that I read because of friends, but I've also seen on TikTok a lot, / Booktok a lot. And that is In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This was my members pick in March. They got a vlog of me raving about it basically nonstop because this book is so good. This is a long book and I have raved about it a couple times now, I feel like, because I'm obsessed. I need everyone to read In a Jam. In a Jam follows a newly left at the altar bride, Shay, who runs off to Rhode Island basically when her step-grandma dies and has left her this farm, but she has to get married to someone. Well, lo and behold, her high school friend, Noah, is next door, kind of-ish, near, yeah, I guess next door, and runs this huge 4-star ranch farm thing. And she and Noah have this reawakening of their friendship, so to speak. Noah is a single parent caring for his niece, who, Jenny is amazing. I don't always love kids in books, but I loved Jenny in this book. She is fantastic. So we follow their relationship, their friendship, to marriage of convenience, to a lot of secrets revealed. The secret revealing in the third act had me a little stressed out, but the way it worked out honestly worked perfectly for me, and I was absolutely fine with it. But yeah, Shay's trying to figure herself out after getting left at the altar, basically, like right before the wedding. You know, what does she want from life? What does this mean? What, you know, who is she outside of this relationship? And we just follow her and Noah discovering each other. And listen, there may or may not be interesting times abound. This is such a fun, slow burn romance with so many elements that I feel like we have read. For some reason, Kate Canterbury in this book manages to take these tropes that, like I said, we know, we are familiar with, done in a way that is just like so good and like perfect. It's like a masterclass book of romance writing to me. I loved this book. I'm obsessed. How do I talk about this? Okay, this is a darker romance, and this isn't like a, oh my god, I loved this book, but this is a, I had such a good time with this book, even though I gave it 3.5 stars, that I'm gonna include it on the list because I think it's one of those things that, like, if it appeals to you, you're just gonna have a fun time because it's Bonkers Bananas. That is Make Me by Summer O'Toole. I could not escape videos about this book. Like, I'm not joking. It was like every other post. So I was like, fine, I'll read it. I'll read it. And I did. And listen, is it amazing? No. Is it a fun time and you will laugh? Yes. This follows a girl whose best friend is murdered in front of her. She kind of gets knocked out and like watches it happen. She can't tell who did it, but there's a really identifying tattoo, which is like a fox with a snake in its mouth on the hand of the guy killing her friend. So she is like basically doing her part to figure out who did it, and she figures out that she thinks it's Cash Fox, who is the head of the Fox family crime group. And she starts stalking him badly, like so badly. It is hilarious. She thinks heart sunglasses is enough to like sit at a bar or sit at a coffee shop outside across the street from where he lives and like watch him and get away with it. Like just changing ball caps and phone cases. I'm sorry, y'all. She's so bad at it. It's so funny. I was giggling the entire time. I devoured this so quickly as well. But yeah, this is absolutely hilarious to me. I think this was such a funny read at the end of the day. And so entertaining that I feel like it's worth reading, even if you don't love it. Because at the end of the day, I think it was just so funny. Like, it was so funny. But, yeah, she stalks him badly. He, like, stops taking his car places because she doesn't drive anywhere. So she can stalk him better. And, like, he tempts her into things, too. Like, going into an ice cream shop with his family. He's like, yeah. And watches her follow them. Like, he knows. But we follow that. And, of course, there's lots of reveals. Lots of hate sex in this. It is messy. Again, I feel like this is a book you have to know you're gonna enjoy or at least get a kick out of to pick up. But I had so much fun with it, and I would have never read it if it wasn't for Booktok. Then we have a series, a trilogy. Next we have the Toxic Paradise trilogy by Marie Maravilla. I read book 2 first. I read book 2 first, which was Skeletons of Society. No. No! Syndicate of Sin is the one I read first, which is book 2 technically. But you also could read book 1 first, which is Skeletons of Society. These are darker romances for sure, so proceed with caution here. I'm going to say that, like, make sure you're checking content warnings. If you have any specific questions, hit me up. I will answer them. Happy to. But these I love. This was like one of my favorite trilogies I've read recently that is a darker romance. So book 1 follows our heroine who is in the cartel. She is running a burlesque club and has to work with these Skeletons of Society, which is a motorcycle club, and ends up kind of falling in love with this guy. Romance ensues. She's a very strong kick-ass heroine, which is what I love about this. And then book 2 follows Scarlett and her 3 guys. So it is a why choose romance. Same thing. She is like kind of estranged in the mafia, and to basically get back at her family, she ends up marrying these guys, even though one of them was supposed to marry her sister. Drama ensues. She's also a badass, kick-ass heroine, and we follow their adventure. This one is freaking delightful. I love all these books, honestly. I love all three of them. And the third book follows a friend we meet in book 1. So I do think you have to read the other 2 to read book 3, because it wraps up the world and everything happening. But this is another series. If I hadn't have seen some people on Booktok wrecking it, I would have never known about it. And I'm so happy I know about this book series, because I had so much fun reading all of these. So last year is when I read the second book, and this year I finished the trilogy out because the third book came out this year. Hands down going to be on my favorites of the year list. I just had so much fun. It's such badass heroines. Sex scenes in these were great. Everything was good. The plot worked for me really well. Like, it just worked at the end of the day. And that was why I had so much fun reading them. Again, darker themes. We were talking about human trafficking in these, and drugs and running guns and all that stuff. Like, these are darker books. But for whatever reason, every single character, like, I loved. I loved every heroine, because again, I felt like they were their own people. They were strong. They were trying to do their own thing. And it was just such a good time. I really am so thankful I got wrecked these. All right, next is a fantasy romance series that I read because of Booktok, and that is Beasts of the Brier. Another one I would have no idea it came out was a thing. This is a big time fave. I loved this. So I love that I got wrecked this on TikTok. I am so happy I picked it up finally. This is a Why Choose romance as well. I love Why Chooses. Can you tell? I feel like I get a lot of my Why Choose wrecks from TikTok, but this is a Why Choose romance. This follows our heroine in the human world, who ends up going through a portal. Her mom's been missing. Her dad has been on this quest to relocate her mom again. And she falls into this world where there are realms of the seasons and fae princes. And there's a below and a dark prince. And there's a lot of turmoil and discord around the curse that they've had placed on them. This is definitely like lightly Beauty and the Beast inspired, but also very fae styled fantasy romance, we'll call it. Because at the end of the day, you know, you have your 4 courts. You have kind of evil, unseelie like fae. You have your good fae. You have a curse. It's so good. I absolutely love this book. And we're slowly following through as all these mate bonds happen. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I have this series, and I've read as much of it as I have. And I think it's just such a freaking delight to enjoy, to dive into this world. Like, it has everything I want out of fantasy romances. Like, I'm getting that balance of world building and smut and fantasy romancy stuff and balls and dresses and all the fun things and curses. Like, I love all of that. So, like, I'm getting all of that here, and that's what I want out of fantasy romances. And I feel like I don't always get. So I've been absolutely thrilled that I read this. All right. And then last but not least, I'm going to call this a TikTok wreck. Now, I would have picked it up anyways, but I feel like I got more hyped for this book because of TikToks I saw about it. And people I saw that generally weren't a fan of this author loving it. And that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So Ali, I'm a big fan of, and I've known for a long time she's a big Omegaverse fan. So when she was going to do Nodding in a book, Omegaverse light-y-ish book, I was excited, of course. And Bride, for me, I was like hesitant to read it. I know I got an arc of it pretty early, and like Shay and I were talking about Buddy reading it, and I was like, I don't know, I'm so nervous. And then as we got closer to release date, I kept seeing TikToks about it and people like raving about how much they enjoyed it. And then I just kept going, and I was like, oh, I really like this. I really like this. So this is one that I think I would have probably hesitated longer to pick up if not for TikToks about it. So I'm going to give it a little like shout out. This follows Misery, our vampire who has kind of been traded into the human world for protection against like war or whatever. And then we have Lo, who is the new pack leader for the werewolves. Misery is betrothed to him, and it's a very like, he's also a caregiver to his little sister, which is like precious. But it's a slow burn-ish, but also just a fun time. Like, it's just a fun time. I really liked the characters. I liked the world. I'm intrigued. I'm ready for a second book in this series. I hope Ali knows that we're all demanding book 2, and that that's happening, but I haven't seen anything specific. So maybe we're all just demanding book 2 and it's not going to happen. So we'll see. But yeah, those are all the books I've read because of Booktok. Let me know if there's any books you've read because of Booktok, if you're on Booktok. If you're not on Booktok, let me know books you read because of BookTube or Instagram. Just, you know, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it. If you don't want to do any of that, you can leave me a not emoji in the comments. Let's get spicy with it. Let's be a little fun here. Or a wolf emoji, take your pick, or a bride, any of those. Down there, I will have links to all these books for you down below, links to my friend anywhere on the internet, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we